Hello, everyone. Hello. I know it's like on time. Okay. The countdown, we got to start a little earlier. So the countdown gets us in at exactly 4 o'clock. Okay. I don't want you guys to run overtime. Well, 4 o'clock for me, whatever time it is for you right now. I don't want to go overtime because I know you got things to do. So I'm gonna give a little chat out, shout out to everybody. I appreciate you all coming last Monday. This Monday, we're gonna try to do a little something different. Try to keep it just as lively, but do something a little more different. I wish that we could put it on the banner that this is adroit living, so people when they come in, they can see what the topic is. Guys in the background, adroit living. Okay, so what is adroit living? Adroit living is being clever, witty, skillful with your hands. You're doing it already, but what we're gonna do is we're going to bring that to your attention. Okay, so you can understand. What do I mean by understand? I'm not saying agree or like it. I'm saying get the package so you can unpack it at your leisure and decide what you want to do with it, by and by as time goes by. So, yes, that's my disclaimer. So you don't be in your feelings about what's being said. Um, now, last week we talked about relationships because it was Valentine's Day. No, not because it was Valentine's Day, but because that is a major part of adroit living. And if you can understand that about relationships, how you are clever and witty and skillful with your relationship, then you can understand how you can apply that to your daily life. For example, last week we used the example of how women are on a hustle. I say hustle, but what we're saying is you're you're hustling trying to make things work. You're trying to balance work and your children and this mate and your friends, and you're trying to make things work all the time. And if you understood, oh, that's what I did to make that successful, let me see if I can make it successful all the time. So what you want is like a plan of action. Some people like to call it that's just a part of your character. This person, everything they touch is gold. Everything they touch is gold. Well, you can do that too, and I can help you with that. Okay, so how do you do that? Well, you examine yourself. A lot of people, they know what the words say, so they apply that and they adapt that. Why is that important? Because it's a part of your learning. You were forced to go to whatever religious place you were going to. Why not learn from what that was saying? What that was saying is if you examine yourself, you can apply what you did right here to make this right and make this go as the way you wanted it to go, so you can apply that to everything that you do. So one thing women do is they say, well, I'm every woman. I'm every woman. I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to do it like this. I saw Beyonce. I saw Beyonce. So you try to adapt and be Beyonce or be Beyonce like. You'll get a wig, throw a wig on and say, well, this going to be that character. And then you're that character for your mate. And a man, he'll grow a beard. He'll grow a mustache and suddenly he's somebody else. He'll act a certain way, and suddenly he takes on a whole new persona that you might like. He'll pick up a hammer, and suddenly it's on. So it's adapting. You're trying to make things work. You're trying to make something happen the way that you want it to happen. Hi, Regina. How you doing? Thank you. Happy to see you back. So you would try to adapt. And adapting is not necessarily a bad thing, but what you want to do is not lose yourself in that adaptation. And what you can do is you can fall back, grasp what made this work. Why did this work? And then you can apply that to something else. For example, a lot of people are trying to create their own business, and every business that is out there wants to, eventually one day they aspire to be a too big to fail company, right? Everybody has that aspiration and that goal because you don't never want to stop making money. You have to make money. You have to have tradable goods in order to live. So you adapt. Big businesses adapt, and they not only adapt, they learn from other businesses what made that company fail, what made that company successful, and they take that part and they apply it to what they want. You may not even be aware that that's what you're doing, but you'll see somebody who'll say, oh, okay, I see him. He doing this. Guys do it all the time. They don't necessarily say, because they don't want to get no guys props for what they're doing, but they'll say, okay, I see how he did that. He wore a suit, he wore a tie, and that was back then. Then the next guy comes in. He said, well, I didn't have a tie to put on, but I'm still going to rock it. I'm going to rock it, ready to roll with it, right? So he comes and he don't have a tie on, but he got the suit on. And that made it so that it's like, oh, wow, that worked for him. That was a good look for him. Got it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And then the next guy says, well, man, I don't have any shoes. These shoes are hurting my feet, so I can't roll with it. So he put sandals on with his suit. So now he got on a three-piece suit, no tie, and sandals. And guess what? He made it work. He made it work because he was adapting. He was taking what worked and applying it to what he had. And that's what a lot of us do with relationships. We take what worked in the last relationship, apply it to what's working in this relationship, or what desire outcome we want to see in this relationship. The same thing that businesses do. Businesses take on, okay, well, this worked for this company, that didn't work for that company. So I'm not going to do that. So you also have to build a trust. So how do you build a trust? Oh my God, every day. Okay. That's a part of building. You have to build a trust. And that is very difficult because people have their own ideas of why I should trust you. You smile too much. I can't trust you. Something's going on in your head and no one else knows because you smiling so much. Because I'm gonna keep an eye on you, but you funny, so I'm gonna keep you around. You can keep you around. And suddenly your relationship grows. And whether it's business, whether it's relations with your mate or some sort of a friend or whatever it is, the relationship grows because they was intrigued enough that they said, okay, let's see what this, what comes of this. And that's what you do. And then that's why a lot of times women are over analytical. They will ask a man, they'll say, well, why you do this and why you do that? Where a man, he will just assume. He'll assume that everything was about him and what he did to create that outcome. And it's not necessarily what he did to create that outcome. And that's why a lot of men jump from one relationship to the next because they think that it somehow had everything to do with what he did and nothing to do with what she was thinking and how she was perceiving. So there's a lot of times where the heads are bumping. Heads are bumping because he's thinking, oh, she did it because of this. And he's thinking, oh, he did it because of this. And there's no communication going. And then when there is communication going, they say, well, why you over analyze it? Why you always got to put a label on it? Why you got to look at it like this? Because we're trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work, so we could keep doing that thing, so we could continue to experience the outcome that we liked. So if somebody's asking you, what is it that you liked about that? Why did you respond this way when I did this? And then you get the answer. You have to take that answer and apply it because this is a whole new person. You can't treat this person like the last person, even though you know that that last technique worked with that person, or that you apply with that other person and now works with this person. You have to ask that person. Never assume. Hello, Matthew. Never assume. So when you ask, you're giving them um, affirmation that yes, I want to be with you. Yes, I want to try to make something work with you. Yes, you perceived that I like that, but it wasn't that you did. It wasn't the wig. It was the way you act when you had that wig on. It was your confidence. You had a whole new confidence with that persona. When you put on that suit, you still brought that masculinity that I'm looking for. That says you're confident in what you're doing and you're gonna take responsibility for your actions, though you don't look like what I thought you should look like because you don't have on a tie, because you don't have on dress shoes, you have on sandals with a whole three-piece suit. Now a lot of people's outfits are um, more casual, more leisure like, and what you have to do, you have to say, this was working, let me try to keep going. So a lot of people say, well, they don't want to dress in suits in order for them to be taken seriously in business or relationships. And that's fine because it wasn't what you were wearing. Some people said, well, I don't know if we should veil or unveil. Can God see? Can people see? Yes, it's innate in you to understand by the things that people are doing, the vibes they're giving off, and you're not looking so much at the smile because people could be smiling in your face, cheating on you, smiling in your face, lying to you. They could be smiling. So you taking on what they're doing. You're not necessarily looking at the mask. You're not looking at the clothes. You're not looking at anything other than what's the feeling you getting from this person. What's the vibe? What's the vibe? A lot of people don't like to say vibe because of their religious differences. No, you could hear what people are saying, and then you can say, what exactly did you mean when you said that? So that then you can learn and you can hear in their voice what it is they're saying. Why is that important? Well, we've been conditioned now to think of things in a way that people want us to. So we're easily manipulated. Whereas if we would stop looking at those things and listen to people, for example, somebody will say, do I look fat? And you'll be like, no. They know what you they know what you just said, and they take that into understanding and they say, well, you really think I look fat, but I appreciate you not saying that. But what do you think I can do differently? It's the understanding was had, even though you didn't say anything, they understood. So they unpacked it right then at that moment because there was a mutual understanding of, yes, you do look fat. However, I love you too much to hurt you. So I'm not going to say it like that. I'm going to say it differently. And if we was to, you know, condition ourselves to see beyond the veil. Whether you're wearing something or you're smiling, look beyond the veil. How do you look beyond the veil? Okay, you know how a baby, right? Everybody loves those little things. They just so adorable, tiny little people. And you say, oh, but the baby will cry when certain people enter the room. That's because that baby already know you bought in an aura. You bought in some sort of feeling like a draft that they were able to pick up and nobody else was because you've conditioned yourself to accept, oh, well, that's just such and such. It's all right. That's just granddaddy. He's smoking. He out there fussing and cussing and carrying on. The baby will get over it. But the baby cry. And you're like, well, why is the baby crying? The baby is crying because they automatically sense something isn't right, something's wrong, something's amiss. And you condition that baby to accept it. And that brings on the fact that they are, that's right, Matthew. Don't call a woman fat because they're all shaped differently. And I love all the shapes to include the men. Okay, like they say, it's not the size of the ocean, it's the motion of the ocean. Why do they say that? Because it's about the feeling that you're getting, not necessarily have to do with size. It's the feeling that that person is giving you. That's why a lot of men say, oh, I was in the locker room with him. I'm way better than him. I'm way bigger than him. But he keeps a wife. He keeps a girl. But you don't. You can't because it's about it's about people seeing you beyond the veil. They're not looking at that. They're understanding something that's a little deeper than that. Some people say, oh, it's not that serious. It's not that serious, but it is that deep. If you watched last week, you know that saying right now. So anyway, if you are watching people and you're saying, okay, I don't like how that person is acting, Do I have to stop being around that person? No. What you do is keep watching. Keep watching because you might have to conduct business with somebody you don't really like. You may have to be around somebody for long periods of time that you don't really like. You don't tell that person, I don't like you. It's just like going in, knowing something in your house. You're like, man, I walked in the house. I don't remember the door being unlocked, but it's unlocked. And you don't go in there and say, hey, is somebody in here to rob me? You know, you don't you don't ask that question because it's not like if it is, somebody's gonna say, hey, yep, I'm here to rob you. So you don't necessarily call people out. What you do is you keep working with it, and learn to distance yourself accordingly. You know, hi Jackie, you distance yourself accordingly, and then they'll start to notice my circle is getting smaller. Your circle didn't get smaller. You just began to recognize that people are starting to appreciate you for who you are and accept you for who you are and respect the distance that you put them at. And that's my favorite saying. That's my favorite thing because people say, well, I haven't seen you in a long time. Uh-huh. I'm just respecting the distance that you created between us. I'm not gonna push people. I don't sit there and say, oh well, that's my girl. Even though I don't like everything she doing and she doing this and she's repeatedly doing it, I'm still gonna hang with her the same way. Mm-mm. You know I didn't appreciate that, and you kept doing it. So what did we do? Okay, I'm not gonna call you as much. And when you do call, I'm not gonna pick up the phone as much. And when you show me who you are and who you are doesn't respect who I am, there's no need for you to, talk to me as regularly as you normally do because you've clearly vocalized, and visualized the fact that you don't want to hang with me like that no more. I know, right? We all have to learn how to deliver a message without hurting anybody, but that takes a great deal of prayer. I can totally understand why every religious sector says never cease to pray. And they say that regardless of what your faith is, regardless of what your sins are, they always say never cease to pray because no matter what you do, some people can see beyond the veil because they picking up a lot of people think that it's your body language, is this, is that. Nope. You could see it even though somebody isn't even in the room. You could pick up on it. You could say, wow, he wasn't even in the room, and I could tell I don't even want to be around somebody like that. Wow, that person is so cool. I wasn't even there, but I wish I was. I want to be there. They're giving off so much energy, so much. I'm feeling so much synergy through whatever the medium is that I'm seeing this person. And a lot of people they're using TikTok and other social medias to convey who they are, to show other people who they are, so they can bring those people into their environment because they don't want to be around the people who they're basically tolerating instead of appreciating. So they're forcing themselves to be around the people that they're around because those are the only people that are there. And a lot of people are using this um, viral pandemic to change the way they communicate and socialize. And I respect that because change is inevitable. You're not going to get away from change. So you got to keep adapting to change. So you can't say, well, just because that person wasn't in the room, I couldn't feel them. Yes, you did. And what you felt was real, you know? So you should try to fix it if it's worth fixing. Now, let me show you. If you say, well, I'm not vibing with this person, you, like I said, you keep watching them. Rewind a little bit. Keep watching them. And if you tell them, I didn't appreciate that, they keep doing that, they didn't want to fix it. You move on. Don't get stuck because you getting stuck trying to fix it that won't be fixed. And then you sit there wasting time that you could have been happy in an environment that was better suited to you and your needs. What am I seeing with TikTok? Why did I mention TikTok and all these other social medias? What I'm seeing is people are finding people. Now, I'm not mad at Tinder and all of that swipe left, swipe right, hook up so you can get up. You know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at that. But what I'm saying is you can feel the vibe that people are doing and you gravitate to them. Why does this person have a million followers? Why does this person have this many friends? And that's because even though you haven't seen pictures of my body, you still clicking on me trying to friend me. You're still clicking on me trying to see what am I doing next. You're still vibing with me. You're seeing beyond the veil, and what you're seeing, you liking, and that's what you want to be around. And you wish it was in your environment, in a face to face, the way you were conditioned to accept interaction. But now with these viral pandemics, you're learning, you're being reconditioned to understand your infancy understanding of how do I perceive this person. And there you will find your innate ability to discern who's for you and who is against you, who should be close to you and who should be further from you. And then you begin to accept it because now your hierarchy of needs are being met more fully. Hierarchy of needs, let's just say, in the religious sense, it's the whole man. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's about a whole bunch of stuff. Y'all gonna have to Google. It's self-actualization. It's the need to belong, and it's just fulfilling you in so many ways that before you were not conditioned to be able to be fulfilled. Examining people's emotions. Okay, thank you, Matthew. So what you need to understand is, okay, so what is a normal interaction? Is you have to understand, if this was your infancy type of reaction, your infancy type of way to communicate, like a baby will cry when somebody enters the room that's got a bad vibe or a negative vibe. um That's right. Not everybody deserves to eat at your table, and that's why that baby will cry, because that everybody doesn't need to be able to hold that baby, because that baby is defenseless. You could drop that baby, and that baby, it will affect that baby for the rest of his life. So that's your innate ability to protect yourself from harm. So we are conditioned to forget about those things, whereas now these viral pandemics are causing us to revert back to what it used to be. Now I remember the word said, the days will revert back to the days of old. That's what we're doing. That is what we're doing here. And a lot of people are adapting well to that because they were uncomfortable with what it was. They were unhappy with what it was. People say, well, now there's high rates of people feeling depressed, and people not appreciating this new norm of interacting and being friends. That devil is a lie. Let me show you why. People say dark things, and people feel a dark way, and it's not normal to feel that way. You're feeling that way because you're going against what you're feeling. You're feeling, no, I can't hang with those people, but because I'm trying to fulfill my hierarchy of needs, I'm trying to feel like I belong. I'm gonna try to hang or force myself to be around people, even though I should be respectful of the fact that they don't want to hang around with me that close, that tight. So I'm forcing myself to conform to what they like. I'm forcing them to conform to what I want to see, because I'm gonna tell them, act like this, act like that. Thank you, Taisha. Act like this, act like that. So when you don't do that, they say, well, I don't want you around. You can't be around. But you have to understand, when you're saying, I don't want that, you're not saying I don't want you at all. What you're saying is, I have to respect it. Now there's going to be a distance between us. There's going to be a distance between us. And that's fine. So what do you do when you want to be closer to somebody? You learn, you keep watching them and understand, yes, I'm going to have to adapt so that I can feel the way I want to feel, and I can help them feel the way they want to feel, so they can understand that I want to be around. And that's what I mean by examining yourself and seeing what worked in this relationship so you can apply that to this relationship. And it doesn't matter if it's a sexual relationship, if it's a parent, sibling, business. I'm telling you, this is the same groundwork for businesses and all sorts of relationships. So if you was to apply what you've taken from this information right now, think about how much better will your life be? How much more desirable will the interactions be? You can manipulate that a bit and toy with it, just like you put on them wigs, guys, for them girls that's out there putting on the wigs, the eyelashes, putting on the makeup. They don't know how much that makeup costs, okay? Yes, self-awareness is key. If you're examining yourself and you're saying, well, let me recount what did I do, and then you have a conversation. Like a lot of ladies, they get upset because men like to ask a woman after he feels like he's gratified her in some way, or he could have bought her flowers and cards and wine and dined her, and he'll ask her, well, what'd you like? He might not even ask you. It's like he'll say, yeah, you like it when Big Daddy do that. Yeah, you like it when Mama do that. Yeah. And that's really you getting the information that you need so you can write that down in your mental notebook and say, yep, that's how I'm going to do this, and that's how I'm going to get this reaction when I want this reaction. You're already doing it, but how do you do it more so that you can get the reaction more, so you can be happier, so you can feel good? So this is what we call adroit living. You being clever so that you can manipulate how you feel more often than not. So some people say your life for a season. Yeah, some people are your life for a season, but a lot of times, Regina, and thank you, Matthew. A lot of times, people are in that season comes more often than you think. When you put it in that perspective, that season comes more often than you think. Some people say, "Well, I overcame that obstacle, so I don't have to overcome it again." That's not true, because it's gonna keep on happening. It's gonna keep on happening because it's life. It's a cycle. It happens in cycles and it happens in seasons. What a lot of people call, but it's coming again and again and again because it's like it's there to improve you. It's there to keep building you. And no matter how tall you see a building, you know that there's a lot of mud and brick that keeps being applied to to that structure to make it stronger, to make it taller, to make it able to house more. And a lot of it comes from being clever. Okay, I got an idea how we can make this building stronger, how we can put more people in this building, how we can do this, how we can shelter from the storm, how we can fulfill more of our innate human needs with just this one structure. And that's when you start to see the diversity in those people you call seasonal. So you kick them out of your life. You don't want to kick them out of your life. You just want to respect the distance that you put in. And when you respect the distance that you put in, that's when you understand you didn't have to leave my life. You just had to distance yourself until a better time. So everybody is in your path for a reason, and there's many forks in the road. So just because you fork off doesn't mean that that fork isn't somehow going to merge again with your path. And in some cases, yeah, it's to retest you to see if you learned this is not a good person for you. Like some people, they're in physically abusive relationships or even verbally abusive relationships. For example, I am already in abusive relationship with my health. Okay, I don't need no more drama. Outside of that, I don't want to be in any other abusive relationship. I'm gonna deal with the drama from the whole hair. So some people gotta go get gone. But it, when you think of it like some people got to leave out your life, the problem with that is when they come back in your life, it hinders you. It hinders you because you say, man, I thought I was over that part of my life. I thought, and then these feelings start to roll back in, and you starting to feel all these feelings, and you end up, you end up back in compromising positions. Ladies, you'll find yourself under a man that you probably shouldn't be up under because you thought you was over that part of your life. You're not over it. The thing is, you have to examine yourself, accept that feeling, and say, yeah, though he do some things that's real good, and I like a couple of tricks he do, I have to grow from it. I have to grow from it because it wasn't for me, and it's not going to be for me. It's like women. We put on these shoes. Yes, there's no such thing as perfection, but you have to understand that person ain't going nowhere. This is a small world. Whether you believe it or not, it's a small world. You can't cross the path of that person and say, oh, I thought you were God. Beat it. Shoot. No, that person still exists and your feelings may still exist. That's right. boundaries. You have to create boundaries and not burn bridges, because that person may come back into your life. Somebody might say, well, if you don't burn bridges, then that's because you want that person back again. No, that's because you're mature enough to understand that you're eventually going to come across this person again, and you can't be subjected to those same feelings, those same mixed emotions. That's why a lot of people want closure when they move on. They say, well, I'm gonna move on, but I gotta understand this so that I can accept what has happened, so I can respect what has happened, so that when you come back around, I know what it is and I don't fall for it and I don't put you through it. So some people get mad about people that want closure. It's not about what you want, it's about so that you don't fall into them same problems again. Some people say, well, if I provide closure, then I ain't gonna be able to manipulate that person when I come back in their life again, and these things that I liked about them I want. That's not true either, because a lot of people, they'll say, as long as we have an understanding that this isn't going to go anywhere, that goes back to them boundaries. As long as we understand that this is just the hookup, then we could go ahead and hook up. But we don't have to fall into that same cycle that we were in, because now we've grown from it. Don't take everything personally. People will play. Yeah. And it is, and what you can do is you could say, okay, we had an understanding. We had an understanding. We were serious about the fact that we're not going to do this again, but we have a baby together. So every now and again I might, but once you grow from it and you move from that, then we have to come to a better understanding and say, well, I'm in a relationship. I'm about to get married. It's serious. So I don't want to resort back to having sex with you just because I like the things that you do. Or I can't go to the club with you because I like to go to the club with you because my wife or my mate or whatever, they don't know how to club like we do. So we just go club. We go club. You got to understand boundaries. You don't necessarily have to cut ties with everybody, because the world is a small place. You can see who this person is. You can see beyond the veil, beyond the mask that they wear, beyond the smile, beyond their good smelling cologne and perfume, and the good fact that the tricks they do. Oh, this one got good hugs, this one got good kisses, this one got money, this one got this. You want to put everybody together. What you have to understand is you could keep everybody together if you're friends. If you value friendship more than you value the sexual pleasure that you're getting, then you could keep these people. You could have closure. You could say, okay, we had sex before, it was great, but we have to move on because that wasn't for me. It's not fulfilling all of my needs. I need something more, but I want to stay friends, but platonic. We could gradually, just like we gradually got into the sexual part of our relationship, we could gradually get away from having a sexual situation between us. And a lot of people say, um, yeah, don't get caught up. It's like the only way you cannot get caught up, and guys and girls, this may be a little PG or not PG, this PG 13 and above. The only way you're not going to get caught up, like they say, when people ask them, how do you get out of the system? They ask the police officer, how do you get out of the system? The police officer said, the only way to get out of the system is to never have been in it. So the only way that you can not get caught up is you can't never put yourself out there. And that's not a reality. We're going to put ourselves out there. So the only way that you can not get caught up is you got to keep examining yourself, examine that person, stay true to yourself, and pull out. Okay, don't finish. Yeah, I did that. I said that. I don't care, because they say condoms are 99%, right? 99. But what they don't tell you is the outliers. The outliers are those things that happen a lot of times in a community of the African American culture. The condom will break, the condom slip off for some people if you wear something that's too big and you thought he was gonna fit, and yeah, it came off. So they throw them guys out. They throw them out. They don't even count them in the statistics. So you don't even know that the probability is actually a lot higher, because they don't count those people. So why did I say about the statistics? Because when I was doing studies, right, and I had to do statistics, oh my God, I hate statistics. But you have to come to understand it so you can understand why did you say that this is the statistic when really that's not true. That's not the statistic. It's called an outlier. It's a really cool way to lie. That's what I call it. It's a really clever way to lie. So, how you say, well, I omitted the truth. You omitted the fact, which is the reality, that you took some information out of there because, oh, well, it was just 1 out of 10. So every 1 out of 10, I'm going to take away. That 1 out of 10 count. So really, while you have a 60% chance of something happening that you didn't want to happen, you get caught up. Yeah, that's why it happened. The only way to not get caught up is you can't finish. You got to get out and finish. And you got to be realistic. It's not to say that you're never gonna put your feelings out there again. Yeah, some people pull out game is really short. However, a lot of times the condom come off and it's still in her. They go in there. What's that show I love? Sex Brought Me to the ER. Love that show. Love that show. I have seen some things. Talk about outliers. Yeah. And soul ties are important because that condom is not stopping that soul tie. Y'all caught, okay? And that's why it's very important. Like, for example, I was watching this new series on Netflix called Blind Love, or Is Love Blind? And some of the women didn't want to have sex with the guy that they were falling for because everything was taking place within 30 days. And the women are like, I'm not getting ready to have sex with somebody that I just met. So originally, you don't meet them. It's like back in the day when you had the telephone and some people were hesitant to use the telephone because it's like, oh, that's witchcraft. That's blood magic. What is that? You cell phones now, it's evolved. And now you're reverting back to the norm. With this show, you can see how people don't even get a chance to see the other person because all you can hear is their voice, like back when you had just a phone connection to talk to the person. So in Love is Blind, they have these people communicating through a wall and it's just them. It's not a phone, it's just them in the same building, but on opposite sides of the building. And they're like, oh, I love the sound of your voice. And you can't describe yourself though. And you shouldn't talk about like what you work or do anything like that. So you have to actually fall in love with the person, not what they look like or anything. And then once that part is over, they put you in the honeymoon type of situation where now y'all in this romantic place, this romantic setting, and they're expecting y'all grown, y'all gonna do what you're gonna do because you're grown. So a lot of the women was like, well, I don't want to have sex with I don't want to have sex with you. I don't even know you. Yeah, I fell in love with you by what you say, and you look all right. It's acceptable, but I don't want to have sex with you. And a lot of men couldn't understand that. And I think that those men that couldn't accept it readily it was a lot of times it was because they were conditioned to believe that sex is a priority in your life. And it's not, and it shouldn't be. And they believe that, oh, how am I supposed to know if I like her if I don't have sex with her? How can you know that? And a lot of people say, yeah, you got to watch it. Trust me, that is hot. Oh, and the Belize, the Love is Blind from Belize. If you that's a little too hot. You might, but anyway. So I'm just saying the concept is reconditioning. It's taking us back to our infancy understanding. A lot of these things that's happening right now during these viral pandemics are taking us back to our infancy understanding of, okay, yeah, this is what we're conditioned to think is acceptable, socially acceptable, social norm. And it's not, because a lot of us didn't agree with it in the first place, but we went along with it. We conformed to it because it seemed to work. Wasn't working because a lot of people develop soul ties, and now everybody's sitting there stuck trying to get demons out their life, trying to get that feeling out of their life. Some people, some women, they were stretched out a little bit more than what they should have been stretched out because they was trying to conform, and they was like, oh well, I can take it. It's the size of the ocean. No, it's the size of, no, you were conditioned wrong, and now we're all reverting back to what really is normal. Normal is that thing that is innate in you, But you can be manipulated to change, to adapt, because you're in the environment of adaptation to survive, to fulfill the whole man, which is a lot to do with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's just to get you a foundation of a conception to help you to put it in a package so you can unpack it. It's not, it's just a little bit of something. It's not everything, it's a little bit of something, so you can start to build on that to understand yourself better, so you could create yourself better. For example, some people say you dark, your thoughts are dark, and you can't do this and you can't do that, and then they go into a depression. And then some people have thoughts of hurting themselves because they're trying to control the pain that they're feeling. What you have to understand is you can't hurt yourself in order to control the pain you're feeling. What you have to do is you have to examine yourself. You have to respect the distance that people have you at. You have to respect that this thing is not the way I want it to be. I have to keep looking. I have to keep myself open. I can't shut myself off and say, well, I'm not going to accept love from anybody anymore because I got hurt. That's not that's not even acceptable. And then you feel some type of way because you find yourself putting yourself back out there again. It's okay. If you accept it, then it's okay, because now you're growing, because you've accepted those things that you cannot change, and you change those things that you can change. I know, right, Jackie? I'm not having sex before marriage. Yeah. I'm gonna say this about that. I don't judge. I don't judge what people want to do with their free will, because if God didn't want us to have free will, He wouldn't have gave it to us. You know what I'm saying? So I never judge. I would like to not have sex before I get married, but is that going to be my reality? I don't know. I it wasn't my experience to say, okay, everything that I plan is going to happen. God got different plans. Now, if you think about it, in every religious sector, you have examples of how God, how the I am, they call different things depending on what your vernacular, what your dialect, the culture. God is called different things. So what you do is you say, well, okay. So what you do is you say, God gave us free will. And He shows in the Bible that some of those people took their free will. They were murderers, they were liars, they were whores, they did this, they did that, they were backsliders, they were lepers, so they didn't wash. So you had different people. God still used them. And any religious thing that you study, God does not discriminate. The I am does not discriminate. He said He uses whom He chooses. He has using animals after stifling them to shut up. He made them talk again to fulfill His purpose. You can't take people free will and you can't judge it. You can say what you want to do, but that might not be your reality. So your reality may not be in alignment with what you want and what your soul is trying to accomplish, but God ain't gonna judge you poorly for it. And think about this. Even in the Bible, it says God's gonna clean us. What does that mean? That means you ain't right. That means none of us are right. He's going to have to continuously clean us. So, what He said was love, learn, use wisdom, and never cease to pray, because those are really the more realistic things. And when we make plans, God say, I'm gonna laugh and I'm gonna throw this out there for you, and we gonna see, because you said it, so we gonna see, I'm gonna test you. And then you feel that test, then you start to feel some type of bad way about yourself. What? Why trust me? Well, the thing about it is, you don't want to feel bad. You want to avoid feeling bad because you couldn't, because you backslid, like Jake said. You can't think of it like that. You have to think of it as, I did my best. My best, I'm gonna keep doing my best. Because a lot of times when people say I backslid, they turn completely away. They gone. They don't come back. But God doesn't do that. That was man's conditioning. Because think about it. If it was right when it was Jesus, then He would have been in the church. He would have been in the church like, yup, y'all right. He right. Y'all better get it together. He'd have been on the clergy. He'd have been up there condemning folks, with his sandals and telling them, hey, take these sandals and clean them, because that's all you good for. Because you such a backside, you don't deserve to be in here. I'm going to mistreat you because you don't belong. That's not what happened. That is not what happened. What happened was Jesus turned from the church and he went out to the people, because that's really where it's at. Even with businesses, they understand that once they lose the customer, they got to do something to go back out there and get that customer, because they are nothing without the customer. You have to understand, when people tell you, when they rebuke you, even in any kind of faith, when they rebuke you, they're doing it with love, and they're doing it so that you can trust that they're going to guide you the right way. They want you to go the right way. And when you see that, you're going to come to understand and say, okay, though I was rebuked, like the prodigal son went away, came back. He had a different understanding. And with that understanding comes growth, acceptance. You accepted it and you adapted. Okay, just like we're doing now. We're adapting. We're adapting. When Buddha, the Sarita Goof, I'm terrible with names. The American tongue is so lazy. When he went away from home because he was so far down the line of accepting the crown and having authority, he went away. To what did he go away for? Because he wanted to find a closer relationship with the creator, with the I am. And it was just God that told him to go back home. And when he went back home, he found everybody in his bloodline died and they took over the monarchy. And when he came back, God exalted him. God put him back in his place. And then they named the religion after him, his newfound religion. And that's how you got Buddhism. But you have to understand the foundation of that. What happened? He did not accept the norm. You see, he examined himself. He saw it didn't fit him. He saw beyond the veil. He saw this doesn't feel right. I can't. Let me go out here and pray. Let me go out here and search. Let me go out here. And that's what he did. And when he returned, it was because he felt innate in him, drawn to go. And he went back, and that's when they developed this understanding, this newfound understanding, and a whole new faith. But why do we not look at the reality of it? We actually condemn the reality of it, and that's why we don't even look at it. We condemn you going out there and saying and being the outlier. They throw the outliers out. He was an outlier. Jesus was an outlier. A lot of the people who have the same history as Jesus in different religions and different cultures, they say those were the outliers. And you can't believe the outliers, because outliers are random phenomenon that doesn't happen frequently enough to be counted or to be included. That's the same thing for those people who the condom done broke on, and now you got a condom baby. That's the same people. That's the outliers. They're out there. They're born every day. That we're outliers, and we can't be put into a box. No matter how many times you throw the outlier out, and only look at these people who conform, who fit, because at some point in that, your study gonna get real small, because you got to keep throwing outliers out. You got to keep throwing outliers out, because it just doesn't fit into this thing that you want everybody to conform to, this kind of new mentality that you're trying to condition them to have. So when people say, I don't want to have sex before marriage on this show, they say, well, I don't want to have sex before we're married, and I don't even know you, it hasn't even been 30 days, and I'm not really trying to have sex with you. They say, well, you're an outlier. Well, you're not working with me. You're not trying to cooperate. You're not trying to make this work. They just want you to conform. These are manipulative words that people use all the time to get you to conform, to get you to understand this is how I want you to act. And when that person bumps head with another outlier that says, I don't care what you say, I'm not going to be manipulated to believe or feel or act where you want me to. I'm going to stick with what I know is real, what I know is right to do. And then you have people say, okay, because I like the way you feeling, and I examined myself and I rethought about the fact that what I've been doing all these years isn't working, we're going to roll with what you're doing. And then these people they finally make it to the altar at the end of the experiment. And that's the only time you're gonna know if the person, and it's a real person there marrying them. Like, do you take this person to be your real life wife, your real life husband? And that's when it gets really, really real. Like the person has to say yes or no and try to make it work. That's the way it used to be. You used to spend time with somebody. You used to say, okay, I love your mind. Now that I love your mind, let's see if we can make it work with what I see of you physically and what I see of your behavior. But because we commune mentally and we talk on a level and we try to agree on a level, then let's try to make everything else work. A lot of people were put together in a relationship, whether business, whether marital relationships, they were placed in those relationships and they had to make it work. They had to have a mutual understanding, a mutual desire to make it work. And that's why it worked. That's why you have couples that you see that's odd, one tall, one short, one fat, one skinny, one out of work, one working, doing all the hustling. You have that, and it works for them because they're the outlier. And a lot of times you think, oh, well, uh, I'm gonna do it this way, and that's why you have so many marriages and couples and businesses that's failing. Everybody's out here trying to make their own business. Do you have the right plan, the right business plan? Do you know the isomorphic mimic plan? Do you have the plan that's going to say, yes, my business is going to work because this is what I'm doing, because this is what I'm emulating, this is what I'm mimicking, this is what I've learned, I'm going to apply this. This is why my relationship is going to blossom and bloom into what I want it to be, and it's going to grow. This is how I'm going to build my house. This is how I'm going to build my legacy because I'm doing it like this. Well, what you have to understand is when you're examining yourself and you're trying to make these things work and you're trying not to burn bridges because you don't know where the fork in the road is going to come and that's going to cross your path again, when you come into these understandings, you come into grow, you come in to accept those things that you can't change and change those things that you can. And you're also learning to speak those things that you want to happen, those things that you desire to happen. You're learning to speak those things into existence. It's not a lie, it's just not the current tangible fact right now. So what did you just learn? You're gonna have to rewind if you just joined. You're gonna have to rewind. You're gonna have to rewind because this is the stuff right here. You could take all of this and you could unpack it at your leisure. I put a couple of tidbits in for its businesses and all types of relationships, as well as how you will grow. Okay, these are proven facts. I can't tell you who've been successful with these facts. I can't do that because that's against what I do. I don't like to fix up your house, then tell everybody I posted on Facebook and tell everybody, yep, this is such and such house. Look how rancid it was. Look how rancid it was. I won't do that. I'll tell, if you want to tell your story, you tell your story, and I appreciate the love. If you don't want to tell your story, don't tell your story. But what you want to do is understand when I'm telling you, rewind, it's going to hit you different, all depending on what you're going through. But what you have to understand is take the package, unpack it at your leisure. I don't know. I don't know if you should use condos, Eddie. I don't know. I don't know if you should just conform to the norm. If it works for you, but the norm is changing. It's reverting back to the norm. What was the old, the days of old, was actually the norm. The norm was you were in the environment of the people that you like. You wanted to get to know them better. You got to know them better. You wanted to get physical and give them a little hug or something. And then you decided then, yes, I can deal with what this person does. I like the way this person feels. I like the way this person holds me. I love the little peck on the cheek, and I want to take it a little further than that. And there you have a solid foundation to build a sexual relationship on. Because let me tell you, what's going to happen when they run out of them pills? Come on now. What's gonna happen when they run out of them little blue pills, them little horny goat wheat pills? What's gonna happen when they run out of them toys that y'all like so much? Let me tell you something about them toys. Y'all about to get mad now, but it's the end of the show, so I don't care. Y'all about to get mad. These toys that you're using, I was looking up this O ring, and I looked at the site because I wanted to know. I'm always inquisitive and I'm always learning, and I'm gonna keep it PG. So the woman, she was using a toy to the extent that she developed one of them tags in a place. that the sun will never shine. I don't care how much you streaking, okay? I don't care how much you skinny dipping. She just developed a skin tag right there because of the toy. So why y'all thinking that it's normal to use these toys? Okay, now let me show you something. When you use them toys, you also conditioning your body to accept something that may not be your reality. Let me try it. Let me try this. Let me try this. If you have a toy and it looks like my fist, you might not want to use that because the person you about to be with for the rest of your life don't look like that toy. Now you going to the doctor to get yourself fixed to be more fitting like a glove so that you can now accept the person that you with. So you have to stop going out here trying to feel like, oh, this is normal. I'm gonna control my what did Oprah say? I'm not gonna say it because I'm QPG. I'm gonna go out here and control my I'm gonna control my climax. I'm gonna control. Nah, honey, you're not controlling it. What you doing is you making it more difficult for you and whoever the guy is you're gonna be with to connect on a physical level. And that physical level, men, all males are born it to first is innate in them to do physical, and in women it's innate in them to be vocal. So that's just, you can google it, you can google it, or you can trust what I'm saying. I prefer you do both. But anyway, women are first vocal. They talk. That's why they talk so much. Men are physical. That's why, ladies, you don't understand when a guy's doing all this physical stuff with you, then he stops doing all that physical stuff with you. Because just because he stops doing all that physical stuff with you, it doesn't mean that he doesn't want to. Might mean he can't. But let me show you how he can. You keep on playing with them toys, he not gonna be able to. He not gonna be able to because he can't feel that feeling that we talked about in episode one. Go have to rewind. Go get it. Go get it. With the things we talked about in episode one is there's something about when a man enters a woman. The birth canal is something about it that cannot be reproduced. Even when you try to do artificial insemination, you still cannot birth. Even you can do it by cesarean, but there's something that takes place, and studies do show that there's something different about a baby who was born through cesarean and those who were born through the womb. There's something that's going on in that thing God created for us women, us born women. There's something going on down there that can't be recreated. And us women, we can only enjoy it one way. Only one way. You have to live the experience. You have to live it. You can't recreate it. You can't have an inverted thing and insert it back and sew it up and make it supposed to be. You can't feel it that way. But you can, men can enjoy it in a different way. You can enjoy it by being born through the vaginal canal. You can enjoy it by having your two parts to meet, and there's something going on. There's something going on. Barry White wrote them songs for a reason because there's something going on when you turn off them lights and you zone in. You tune everything else out. That's why you turn off the lights. And I'm not dreaming because this is real. It's something going on that is so magnificent, so majestic. And God did that for a reason. And the reason is you got to keep examining yourself so that you can find it. And I guarantee when you find it, and you have to, oh, well, my sex is what brought this guy back to me. Oh, my sex is what brought this woman back to me. No, there's something going on that's making that person think maybe I could try to make this work with you if you do XYZ. And if I'll do XYZ, then we can make this work. So that's why a lot of times people, when they develop these soul ties, it's hard to unlink because you develop this soul tie with this connection, with this majestic feeling that was only supposed to be there for a particular reason. This is a 5 p.m. conversation. Let me tell you why. Because this is the time, and I'm a large advocate of it doesn't have to be your birthday to get a gift. It doesn't have to be nighttime and we in the bedroom for me to show you affection and love. I'm not that type of person. You have to understand that I'm gonna show you love throughout, and you're gonna feel it no matter where you at. So my husband, he'll be at work. I call him, say something stupid on the phone. He'll laugh. He'll get mad. Whatever it is, I'm on his mind. That's all it is. That's all it is. So you have to understand there's a connection that's going on, and that connection can be had in multiple ways. And the only way that you can recreate that, you have to examine, what did you do? What did I do? What did I do right? And don't burn bridges, because you go come across this person again, and you cannot go through the emotional turmoil that created the unbalance that you're experiencing now that that person is back in your life. That's the summary, and that is the end of this show. Thank you all for having come. Thank you all for having stuck it out. And remember, rewind, go back to episode 1 so you'll understand what I'm saying when I throw out these little side things or these little inside jokes. You'll understand. All right. Well, see you all next Monday. Hopefully, we'll see you next Monday, or we'll see you on the rewind.